everybody, welcome to the Hacienda. Rivet here. Today is a blustery, cold, snowy day. It's -5 degrees outside, not counting wind chill. And we're going to make Stoofvlees. Perfect for this weather. It's a Flemish stew. And what is Flemish? Flemish are the people from Flanders. That's the northernmost region of Belgium. They had a wide variety of these stews, but what makes this uniquely Belgian is we're utilizing Belgian beer, in this case Chimay, made by Trappist monks, and it utilizes Syrop de Liege, which is also known as goop, and we'll talk more about that later. It is a sweet ingredient that is made out of apples, pears, and plums. Now, we can't get it here in the United States, so Mrs. Rivet researched it and made it at home. It is very, very delicious. Syrop de Liege is what makes this uniquely Flemish. If you can get it, by the way, it is sweet. That's the important ingredient for this stew. If you can't get it, Treacle is another acceptable substitute. I got this from my favorite online retailer, and Treacle is much heavier, sweeter, and richer than molasses, and you can utilize molasses as well. So let's get going. What we got here is about 4 pounds of beef chuck, which we are going to cut up into cubes, about 1 to 2 inches per side. After cutting the meat, we very generously salt and pepper it with sea salt and coarse ground black pepper. In a heavy pan, pot, over medium-high heat, we're going to add a stick of good quality butter and a little olive oil so it doesn't burn. Let's get that baby melted down. We're going to start browning the beef. We want to brown the meat in small batches, so we definitely get the Maillard reaction going on. We want the beef nicely browned on the outside and not just gray. Now that we got the meat all cooked and set aside, in the same pot, we are going to add the onions and their juice, and that will help deglaze the pot. Continue over medium heat. Okay, so the pot is deglazed. The onions are translucent. We've added the beef back in, and now we need to add some garlic. The equivalent of about 3 cloves, okay? To that, we're also going to add 1 quart of beef stock. While it's coming back to a simmer, we're going to add 3 bay leaves and our bouquet garni, which is thyme and parsley. Okay? Let's stir that in. At this point, we're going to add the Chimay Trappist Monk's beer. Now, this is room temperature. You don't want to add cold beer to this recipe because the Belgians say it makes the meat shrink and get hard, and we don't want that. We want this delicious beer. What does it smell like? Oh, that smells good. I've never had this brand of beer before, but we can find it locally. I've just never had it, and that smells good. Now the next thing we're going to do is we're going to add the Syrop de Liege, or Belgian goop. This is what it looks like. Mrs. Rivet made it, I told you. Let's go ahead and try it. I'll tell you how it tastes. Very fruity. Definitely tastes a pear in there. The apple, very nice. Plums, and of course sugar. There's no cinnamon or anything in there. So let's go ahead. We're going to add the equivalent of 2 very generous tablespoons. Well, what the hell? Let's do 3 because it's good. And we'll stir that in. Now, with some freshly bought rye bread that I get from the European bakery, we're going to take 2 hearty slices And we're going to add this mustard. It's Burgundy mustard from Belgium. It is Dijon-y kind of flavored, but it has a unique flavor. It's like Dijon on steroids. If mustards were rated, this would be the Arnold Schwarzenegger of Dijons. And you know that I don't really like Dijon mustard because they're just so lame. They're just so tender and light. This is a man's Dijon, and this is why I love it. So what we're going to do is we're going to spread it thickly on both slices, like that. Once it's starting to boil, we're going to take the bread and put it mustard side down and continue to cook it. Now, it's starting to boil. We're going to turn it down to simmer, and we're going to simmer it uncovered 3 hours. Okay? That bread is going to disintegrate and help thicken the stew. After 3 hours of cooking, it's come together really nicely, and you see how it's thickened up. The bread helps thicken up the sauce. I did have to modify the amount of goop I put in. I will put in the final amounts in the notes below in the recipe, so let's get it plated up. And so here we have a bowl of delicious steaming goodness. Stoofvlees, no, Stoofvlees. But that's not all. We got to go ahead and serve it as is done in Belgium. In Belgium, Flanders, Stoofvlees is traditionally served with French fries. Yeah, French fries. I'm sure you could serve this over mashed potatoes or whatever else. But why not French fries? Who doesn't like French fries? So let's go ahead and give this a try. This it certainly smells good. Not like any beef stew you've ever made before, that's for sure. The thyme, the bay leaf, believe it or not, comes through. And I think it has to do a lot with the beer. I don't know. Let's try it. That's a very rich sauce. And I am certain that the mustard played a part in that. And for sure, the goop, or the Syrop de Liege. That stuff is delicious, and you can taste the undercurrent of it in there. It balances out the sharpness and the sourness of the Trappist ale. Yeah, French fries are great. A very well balanced stew. The flavors are not specifically one or the other, just very balanced. Oh, and look at this meat. I can cut it with my spoon and my left hand. That is tender. Let's give that a try. That meat is melting in my mouth. Chuck is definitely the way to go for this recipe. At first I thought I used way too much sea salt and coarse ground black pepper when I was covering up the meat prior to frying it. But no, you really got to be beyond what you think is generous, oh my god, quantities. And it's just right. Never had to add more salt or pepper to the recipe. That meat is melting. Wow. Definitely a make again recipe. Very simple, although you do have to have that kind of mustard and the goop, but you can make it at home like Ms. Ribbit did. And wow, perfect for this weather. We are supposed to get 6 to 12 inches of snow tomorrow night. It is below zero already. That is a perfect meal. Thanks for watching, people. Y'all take care.